okay. The concept of a RenWomen, short for Renaissance Woman, is the subject of your latest book. Can you talk about how the book evolved and how it expanded into a movement?
This is such an interesting question because, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here. I am so happy to be with all of you, and especially with all of you out there. It's really nice to be speaking to women about women and speaking to the enlightened men among us. Yeah. And there are many. One of them I have to say is my husband. If I ever do win a Tony Award, I'm going to stand up there and thank him first before anybody else. At any rate, it's a good question. How did this evolve? And it did evolve. It started out as, in a way, a project in that my twin brother, he has co-author credit on here because this was his idea. He is an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, he's a marketing expert, but he also graduated not only with an MBA, but with an art degree. And so he has this very creative side. And he expresses it all through the years by doing these book projects where he designs the book, he comes up with the themes for it, and then he hires a writer to work with. And the last book that he did was about modern-day Renaissance men. It was called Beyond Genius, the 12 Essential Traits of Today's Renaissance Men. But people began to ask him, well, this is all very interesting, but what about the women? And he thought that is a good question, and he Googled the words Renaissance women. And to his surprise, what came up were women who lived during the Renaissance. And just a few modern-day Renaissance women who basically labeled themselves as Renaissance women. So you would go to Maya Angelou's site because on the top of it, it says a modern-day Renaissance woman. But that's all that came up. And he thought, no, wait a second, this does not sound right. Not only do I know personally a number of amazing Renaissance-style women, but there must have been some in the past that aren't coming up in the history books. So that's when he approached me, and I said, no, I'm not going to write it. I have plays, films that I'm writing, I'm teaching, I'm consulting. I don't have time. But my brother is very insistent, very insistent. And all I can say is I'm extremely grateful that he was, because this was an adventure for me. It was my first nonfiction book. I had the privilege of meeting 16 amazing women, spending time with them, spending hours and hours with them, and then turning those hours and hours of interviews into their rich stories on the page. And Frances was, of course, one of the people I was honored to include in this book. And I've become very close to a number of the other women in the book, which is, a wonderful kind of side effect. So the question was, how did this turn into what started as a celebration of these women, which is what it was, pure and simple, to something that feels a lot more like a movement? What began to happen was that women began to respond to this book in ways that were well beyond the contents of the book. They were inspired by the contents of the book. So you would find women saying a few interesting things, one of which was, so that's what I am. I'm a RenWoman. It was an identification with being a type of woman. And I will tell you that the women we featured were not only multi-talented and had gained mastery in multiple areas, but they were also visionary and groundbreaking. And they were also caring and serving. So women were able to say, I'm not scattered. I'm not all over the map. I'm multifaceted. I'm balancing many aspects of life. I'm multidimensional. And most women are multidimensional, are we not? So this is a celebration of our multidimensionality. And it's not like I don't bring up issues in the book of things that need to be resolved still for women's lives, but I want us to celebrate how capable we all are. And so there are traits that these women share that show that. So how is it a movement? It is a movement because women, I think, find themselves in it. And women also, it's aspirational, but it's also motivational. There are a lot of women that have said, I understand. I'm picking up all of these clues in this book for how I can be as capable as I can be and live as abundant a life as I can. And not only, now notice we did not choose all famous women, those who have read it. We have a chapter on the icons like Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou and so forth. But we chose women who are extraordinary, but they're not famous per se, so you can look at their lives and you can say, if they can do it, especially with a lot of the adversity that many of these women had, then I can too. I can follow some of these pieces of advice. I can grow and expand like they did. So that has made a big difference. And the other big difference, again, this is my personal opinion, but we have a country that's very divided right now. And we have women feeling very strongly, about many issues, whether on one side or another. But this book seems to be very timely. It seems to have come out at a time when women are asking two questions, one of which is, how have things changed, or how will they evolve for me as a woman? And number two, how should I be getting involved as a woman? And I think we find, and again, this book I hope is inspiration for women stepping up to the plate in that way.
Excellent. Like I said, there are so many quotes in here, to Dale's point, the advice that you get, and I can share the ones that I've highlighted with Liz and Sue to get out to the group. There's just the advice that's in there. You will be able to take it and apply it to what you're doing every day. So now we're going to turn to Frances. We heard about all her accolades from Liz. Amazing, and there is a chapter on Frances, so you learn a lot about her in that chapter. Amazing. Leadership, that's what she's very known for. It's a major focus of your work. Would you talk about the particular challenges and opportunities for women in leadership roles or aspiring to them?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here. Now, I prefer to translate this concept of challenge to the concept of opportunity. Very important today. I like to use my definition of leadership. Leadership is a matter of how to be, not how to do. We spend most of our time in our lives learning how to do. And yet, in the end, we know it is the quality and character of the leader that determines the performance, the results. And 2017 is a year of enormous opportunity